Hello, welcome to Lewis Waite's Chemistry Company. I'm Emily Waits, the Regional Manager here at this Cypress branch. Today we're going to be conducting 5 separate reactions with copper to try and recover as much solid copper as possible.
What's up guys, my name is Jax Lewis and I'm the Assistant Regional Manager here at the Cypress campus.
Assistant 2?
Assistant 2 Regional Manager. Hey, what's up Eric? Mr. Carlson, I'm sorry. You need to get started? Okay, let's go.
Before we could begin our lab, we had to make sure we were following all of the safety procedures at Lewis Waite's Chemistry Company. We had to take all of our IDs off. We had to make sure all of our hair was pulled back. We had to be wearing closed-toed shoes. We wore gloves when messing with the chemicals, and we wore goggles the entire time.
First, we took the original mass of the copper, which was 0.5644 grams. Next, we placed the copper in a 250 milliliter beaker and added 5 milliliters of concentrated nitric acid. After all the copper was dissolved, we added 30 milliliters of 3 molar sodium hydroxide and stirred. Next, we heated the solution while stirring it until it boiled. Next, we allowed the copper hydroxide to settle.
For our third reaction, 1 mole of solid copper 2 hydroxide was heated to produce 1 mole of copper 2 oxide and 1 mole of liquid water.
Next, we carefully decanted the top liquid. Then we added 200 milliliters of very hot distilled water and stirred, and then allowed it to settle for several minutes. We added 15 milliliters of 6 molar sulfuric acid.
We added 2 grams of 30 mesh zinc metal slowly to reduce the copper ions to metallic copper.
1 mole of aqueous copper 2 oxide reacts with 1 mole of sulfuric acid to produce 1 mole of aqueous copper 2 sulfate and 1 mole of liquid water.
In order to recover the solid copper, the remaining zinc must be removed. We added 20 milliliters of 6 molar hydrochloric acid and allowed it to react under the hood still. We decanted the liquid and transferred the entire solid to the mass evaporating dish. We added 10 milliliters of distilled water to the solid, and we stirred and decanted the superintendent liquid. We repeated this washing cycle 2 more times.
In our last reaction, 1 mole of aqueous copper 2 sulfate reacts with 1 mole of solid zinc and 1 mole of liquid water to produce 1 mole of solid copper, 1 mole of aqueous zinc 2 sulfate, and 1 mole of water vapor.
We washed the solid with 5 milliliters of acetone. We allowed the remaining acetone to evaporate by placing the evaporating dish on a hot plate. Then we stirred the solid occasionally while drying. Then after that, we cooled the evaporating dish and weighed the final mass.
I would just like to state for my entire group that nitrogen dioxide gas was supposed to be a product of the first formula.
If I could make any improvement or changes to this lab, I would say that we should purify the evaporating dish before we use it. If I were to make any improvements or changes to this lab, I would say that we should use a filter and pour the solution through a filter as opposed to decanting the water off the top. We subtracted the mass of the evaporating dish from the combined final mass of the copper and evaporating dish to get the final mass of copper. We then divided the actual mass of copper by our theoretical mass
and then we multiplied our quotient by 100 to calculate our percent yield.
You know, in this lab, we met the objective and we did some science, but also we had some fun. We had a good team effort and we really just enjoyed ourselves the whole time.
Look back.
Look back at it. Oh!
While we conducted some gooder science in the chemistry AP lab with Mr. Carlson, we may have goofed off just a slight bit, but we still got our objective done in the end time. I still think that as we all worked as a team, group effort together,
Carlson!
we had some fun.
Yes, sir. What would you like, sir?
Nothing.
Was that good?
Lewis Wade's Chemistry Company wanted to give a special thanks to both Mr. Carlson for using his laboratory for our special needs, as well as our sister company, Office Depot, for all of our office needs, as well as the office desk that you see in our video. Thank you very much. Now please join us as we stand in honor of Chemistry AP, as well as our great American country.